What if I told you the strategy that most YouTubers are currently using is going to set them up for failure? In this video, I'm going to help you understand why abandoning my channel with over 450,000 subscribers was financially the best decision I made this year. And then the main trap that you're going to need to avoid if you're going to want to grow your personal brand on YouTube in 2025. When I think about the best to have ever done it on YouTube, we must of course credit MrBeast, who put more thought and strategy into ideation than anyone before. When it comes to raising stakes in social media, there is no more aggressive strategy than reinvestment and making videos just wilder and crazier. MrBeast turned retention into an art form and continues to dominate the landscape of YouTube. Then personally, one of my favourite content creators is Armstrong. And Matt repairs crash-damaged cars, and he doesn't just repair them, he takes us on winding story arcs intertwined with retention editing, and although I feel like his dad is secretly the star of the show, he's continued his meteoric rise to be one of the biggest YouTubers to emerge from the UK. And he hasn't just provided entertainment, he's inspired his audience. Who knew that I was only 2 full GT3 builds away from getting one of them myself? And this kind of brings me on to another point that I've spoken about in a lot of other videos. There is a certain amount of time that someone's going to need to spend in front of your videos before they end up joining your program, buying your services, or generally just being impacted in the way that you want from the content. But what if I told you that if you were to model your YouTube growth off those two creators, or any creator similar to them, that you were doing it completely wrong? Well, I'm going to explain exactly why that is the case. This is my silver play button. I got it from another channel that I created. And just short of 500,000 subscribers, I had to stop because I realized I was making the fundamental mistake I believe almost 95% of YouTubers are making right now. And the mistake is this. I was trying to be famous. Now you're probably thinking, why is that a problem at all? Well, it's not if you model your channel on making revenue from Google via AdSense, but it's worth noting that YouTube pays you pretty terribly for the amount of effort, time, and sacrifice necessary to make it in the big leagues. MrBeast has a huge amount of viewership from younger generations who want to be entertained. Matt Armstrong has a massive viewership from any bloke who wishes they had a better car. That's a lot of people. But in your situation, a bit like mine, our cohorts are much smaller than we realised. I was making fitness-related content, and it's difficult to get millions of views to sustain yourself to make videos on the leg press or how to squat. Less than 20% of people in the UK even have a gym membership, let alone use YouTube as a place to watch fitness content. It's hard to make anything fitness related that interesting unless it's some kind of wild challenge. And it was only through creating content on my old channel that to make a video perform its best on YouTube, it had to move further away from the reason I started the channel, which in the beginning was supposed to be to get me more clients. But I had to sacrifice that goal for more views, or I was in a net negative position for the end of each edit for what I had to pay my videographer. What became as a channel to get more PT clients ended up as a machine to try and go viral every video, with my biggest videos being about Whoop or AG1 or the downfall of modern podcasts, or even having pops at Logan Paul. And the caveat to this is you can get sponsors. MrBeast has Shopify, Matt Armstrong has YFood and Car Vertical. I can also sense that Matt is quite loyal to his early day sponsors because I haven't seen an influx of new sponsorships since the immense growth of his channel. But for me, I don't do paid ads, I don't do sponsorships. I've never had a sponsor on any video or anything that I've ever put out. So using monetization from that was always going to be a problem. Now I know it can seem that I suck off Matt a lot of my content, but someone a decade deep into content creation, he's created something absolutely fantastic and his execution is quite frankly flawless. He's looked after people around him, he stayed humble, he is what every content creator should aspire to be. If most content creators go and take a few lessons from Matt's journey, they'd be doing themselves a favour. But let's move on to another problem that you're going to face if you were going to try and model Matt's growth for your own channel. Another problem arises which can only be described as nurturing a subpar audience. We all know that in 2008 there was a financial crisis, banks were bundling together subpar mortgages and pretending they were better than they really were. Well, growing a following for the sake of a following is very much the same. There are a lot of big channels and creators on platforms with millions of followers who are fucking broke. There's tremendous pressure to stay afloat with the views, and then all it takes is for a single video to underperform and you're losing money month to month. And all it takes is for the algorithm not to favour your channel, and the stress and the pressure is enough to push anyone to the edge. There's one thing your audience can sense and they won't like it, and that thing is desperation. With Chris Williamson, just over a year ago, we launched Newtonic, our own productivity drink, and soon to be a fully fledged nootropic business. Our launch, although performing fantastically, got quite a lot of heat, and the criticism was almost exclusively from my YouTube. I realised soon after I launched that I'd curated, yes, some great audience, but also a lot of subpar audience. An audience that maybe I built trying to look good, but as far as performance, if I make videos about AG1 to get them in, they're not true fans. They're merely people that maybe just enjoy seeing a business getting taken down a peg. So I started this channel, a new channel with the sole objective of getting clients. Ed Lawrence from the Account Creator booth told me about a client that he had who billed $33,000 US from 800 views. Yeah, that's right. Google would have probably paid him about $2 for that many views, but instead of relying on Google to pay him, he paid himself. Now, at the time of recording this video, this channel has 19,000 subscribers, but it's attributed towards $2 million in my first year of business. Rather than aiming to have the biggest audience, I just want a red hot audience of people who care about building their business and their brand. My biggest month, trying to be famous on the other YouTube channel, was about £10,000 for the month in AdSense. My new business does 10 times that, and I don't even have monetization for this channel turned on. I've made the mistake of trying to be famous and trying to hack the algorithm for mass views. But honestly, you can run such a good business from just catering to your audience. When I look to 2025, if I had to give one bit of advice, it would be to build a strong audience that are likely to become customers, not to try and build a big audience full stop. Where people do have massive channels, they need sponsors, and although they do get paid quite well, they even have equity in certain brands, they eventually start diluting their personal brand because they become semi-owned by the sponsors. They can't say or express certain things without upsetting those sponsors. I find it nice that I don't have to answer to anyone, and the fact my monetization isn't even on means I don't have to shit myself because I accidentally said the word fuck. And we can all too easily set the wrong metrics for success on YouTube and other social media platforms. But take it from me, you can't fly first class or buy a nice car with likes from your followers. You need clients, you need business, and the one thing I love more and more than ever on this smaller channel, I'm curating an audience of personal brands, small businesses, and people that appreciate the hustle. They know the game, they get it. You and I know there are going to be a certain amount of times that I'm going to need to make a video that makes you go, fuck me, I never thought of that before. And you'll consider buying my course or one of my courses. You won't even mind me saying, hey, if you live in the UK or the USA, buy a pack of Newtonic, you stingy cunt. I've fallen into the trap of trying to be famous. It pays well, but it's a lot less exhausting just having a red hot audience of people who are interested in you and your business and your skills, rather than trying to jump on every flipping trend to stay relevant and letting Google give you a tiny little fraction of the cash that you make them. So remember, when you're about to embark into a new channel or a new social media platform, think about this. What is my business? What problems do I solve? Does this content align with both of those? Do not rely on AdSense as a strategy. Although it works for some and it works really well, it fails the majority of creators and leaves them stressing and burning out desperately, just trying to get clicks. If you made it to the end of this video and you think you have another one in you, I'd recommend watching this one. It could give you another, fuck me, I never thought about it like that kind of moment. Enjoy.